And good afternoon, David Banjowski. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Very, very good. A very warm welcome to everybody to Deering Live. Those of you tuning in right now, live into the show, and for everybody watching after the fact, welcome back. It's been a minute. We have not done this for a while. I almost forgot which buttons to push, but I feel like that was a fairly seamless intro. We got there. How are things with you, man? It's been a little while since we kind of publicly spoke.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to seeing you and Jamie Deering and everybody else at IBMA next week.
Yes,
in Raleigh.
indeed. Get to share a nice room at the Marriott together, at least for the first few nights. So we get to bunk up. But yeah, no, it's always good to kind of be at IBMA. I missed last year, unfortunately, but it's my favorite event to go to. So Jamie Deering right now is out at Winfield for Walnut Valley Festival. And so she's flying down, meeting us down there, and then you and I will be out there all week. So if you are in Raleigh, it is, of course, the last year that IBMA will be held in Raleigh until before it moves to its new location in Chattanooga, Tennessee, starting in 2025. So I, for one, I'm very excited to go to Chattanooga, but I do have a bit of a soft spot for Raleigh. So I'll be relishing the last IBMA. So all good. I don't know if we have anything else to talk about. It's pretty.
Yeah, that's the big one. Come say hi next week. So
come say hi if you're in IBMA, or if you happen to be at Walnut Valley this week. Jamie's there with Janet Deering, so go say hi. Let's talk about our guest, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. For those of you who don't know, Goodnight, Texas. We're going to bring in the nucleus of the band, RV and Patrick, in just a second, who are going to join us and talk about their rich tapestry of acoustic instruments and everything that they use on their albums with the Deering Sierras, and talk about their journey. Band is named after a small town, which I just looked up as we were coming in, called Goodnight in Texas, with a large population of 20 people at the last count. I'm intrigued by that story, and we're going to get into it and a whole bunch more. So let's welcome Avi and Patrick. Hey guys.
Hello.
How we doing?
Thanks for having us.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for it. So it's a tiny town. I need to know this. We're going to get into this in a minute after you play this little tune. Is it really 20 people there?
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit more than that, 28 at this point.
Do you feel like you've aided the economy somewhat and just kind of?
You know, we just went there in June, I think it was. No, July.
Oh yeah.
June or July, and because they were shutting. There's one store in town, and the fellow was retiring, Cecil, who owns it, and so he had his going away party, and he was saying people would stop into his store in the town asking about the band, and he had given away all of the stuff that we had left with him over the years. Like,
oh wow.
We signed a poster for him, and we did get different things, and he's like, I had to give it all away. Thank you. But he's super sweet, so I hope that we've helped people find it. There is a sign. When we first went there was a sign like in the town, but now we did notice that it's been added to the upcoming town. Like Goodnight, 6 miles.
Oh, okay. So it's actually like a mainstay point.
Maybe enough people are trying to stop there that they. Not that we had anything to do with that. There also is a museum there that is worth visiting if you're driving through the area, and I would assume that is why they put a sign up.
Related to Charles Goodnight, who's like a legendary
correct
pioneer guy.
Yeah, his house is there. But so, we really had nothing to do with anything.
That's, I mean, there's probably room for like a museum for you guys as well, right? Like just to have an added attraction.
One day.
Is that the dream?
There's a cemetery there, so that's.
It's a start, or an end.
It was discussed. There were, when we visited, Cecil was like, "Hey, you guys should think about,
He's like, I've gotten you guys a plot here. I don't want to get weird or depressing.
The store is really. I guess he's getting rid of the merchandise now, but the breadth and extent of stuff he has is incredible. It's all like bison related. Just a store of entirely bison-related stuff. And his son, who was there, who's is a great guy too, makes socks out of bison thread, which are he gave us a pair, and they're the best socks I own. Who would have thought? He sells them to the Iditarod people, and all sorts of athletes, and they like keep you warm, keep you cool. You can wear them for 3 days and they don't stink. So
we have to talk offline. There's a flourishing e-commerce opportunity that's being missed. All right, we're going to ask you to kick things off in our traditional way. Do you want to play a little tune for us and give the audience a little taste of what you guys are about?
Sure. Okay.
Let's do it.
Sure. All right. Good.
Sing a little song about yesterday. They're never gonna catch me long as I'm alive. You and me together will survive.
Yeah, man. Sounds great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I want to stay on the band name theme for a little bit, and then we'll get kind of into more into details. Oops, I just lost. Let's see. So how'd y'all logistically figure out? Because one of y'all are based in North Carolina, one of y'all are based in San Francisco, I read, and it's the midpoint. But how'd you kind of like logistically figure out this is the midpoint?
I think his wife actually found it on a map. We were sort of just kind of looking casually, like where was the dead middle, and I think she spotted it first, and we were like, "Ooh, that's cool. Ooh, that's really cool. I like that." And then we started learning more about it, and it was like, "Oh, this is like a fascinating town and character," and just felt kind of dusty, and I don't know. So we sort of just figured it had to be that.
And I was going to say, I wish we were in North Carolina to join you guys for the festival, but Yeah, I lived in Chapel Hill for a long time, and I love Raleigh too. But yeah, when our first album came out, it was actually Avi and our drummer Alex went through the town because we had never been there, just to knock on everybody's door, all 20 or all 10 or whatever, and just drop off the album. And we had no idea how we were going to be received, or if people would be like, go away or what. But turned out everybody was real sweet, and we've been back like a bunch of times, and we got a bunch of friends there.
Nice.
Yeah,
What's it like playing there? Because you've played there a few times, right?
Yeah.
it's cool. I mean, we can. I think our draw there is like 28. We managed to pull some people from
100%
surrounding towns, so the population goes up very slightly. But it's been great. Everyone's really fun there. There's talented musicians from there too. Like our friend Mark plays guitar, and his son is a great musician who toured playing guitar with, I forget the name of the fellow,
big country guy. And
yeah, so we'll jam with the locals there and hang out, and then they usually just start pouring them as soon as the sun goes down, and have a little whiskey or tequila with them, and sit around and watch the bugs.
Sounds great. Y'all made
population goes up.
y'all made like a second
Friends in
home,
the middle.
basically.
Yeah,
there you go.
In the middle, it's just great. The middle everywhere.
Well, how did y'all get together? How did y'all start playing together? What's the beginnings of the band?
We met many years ago in San Francisco when I lived there. I had moved there with my now wife after college, and we met. We'd just moved into our apartment, and we went to just like check out a neighborhood cafe called the Bazaar Cafe in the Richmond neighborhood of San Francisco. And it turned out that Avi was playing there that night. He was filling in for his friend, and I just went up to him after the show and was like, "Hey man, that was great. Like, I play music. I'm new in town." He was like, "All right, yeah, whatever." But he was like, "You should come to my open mic down at this other place." And then we started going to that open mic together, and like it was like, oh, okay, like learning more of each other's songs. And we started playing together, and we ended up co-hosting the open mic, and then eventually started doing actual shows together. And
yeah, he came and played a song like the first one he did, and I was like, "Who wrote that?" And he was like, "I wrote it." I was like, "Oh man, that was brilliant!" Like he just played this song called "Lazy Bones" that was one of his. It sounded like our secret Zero album, like pre Goodnight Texas album.
So secret, no one owns it.
So secret that no one owns it. But it's yeah, it just was like that's great. And then it was like had to try to figure out how to make it work. But we didn't necessarily start a band together right away. I think we would open, like I would open for him or he'd open for me, and we'd both play on the same bill. And then we'd start like playing a little bit on guitar, electric guitar or something like that with each other. And then we sort of figured out how to sing. At one point, it just kind of like clicked, and then it's been like I don't think it didn't. Singing together didn't come like first thing without But then it like clicked one day, and it was like, we can do like harmonies, and yeah. And then from then it was like, all right, we should like try to start a project. And then he was like, I'm moving to North Carolina. I was like, okay, that's fine. And then it's like, well, maybe we start a band across the country. Let's have a cross country band.
Why not?
This will be fun. Because he grew up on the East Coast, so we could play to his friends and folks over there, and I grew up on the West Coast, and I could could come toward the West Coast and the East Coast in that way, and yeah, sort of started out doing it that way.
Yeah, and so we did the duo thing for a little while, and then we started adding our friends playing a little bit of rhythm section, bass and drums. But I think the concept of the band really kind of took shape more actually when we you got a mandolin, we got a mandolin and a banjo, and it like that really like was a turn that the kind of like sonically and thematically the band took. I would say was like the addition of those elements, kind of like
it added this like darkness that I didn't think you could get from like a heavy electric guitar. It was just sort of like something so earnest and old sounding about the mandolin and the banjo.
Yeah.
And so we started I think I had put mandolin and banjo on my demo of Maggie's Farm forever and played it for our friend Joe in Montana, and he was like, "You should make your whole band sound like this." I was like, "Yeah," and then so we sort of started focusing more on the like those songs, even though we didn't really know how to play banjo or mandolin very well. And I might add that Mumford and Sons did not yet release their album, so we were not doing it for. It just coincidentally was 2000
Around the same era.
And I bought my mandolin at a guitar show, and my first mandolin, it was like an old 1918 Gibson A2, and I bought it for $800, and I got back and I looked on the website of the fellow I bought it from, and I think I had bought there were two that were identical, and one was cracked and one wasn't, and I bought the not cracked one for the price of the cracked one, so I got a great deal on it. If you're watching, I'm sorry, but it was his idea. So, but yeah, and then got a banjo at one point around then too, and just the two of them like seemed to have like all new songs built into them or something, like, and they all felt like they were in this style that felt, you know, cohesive and organized and well designed, and it felt easy to write songs for this band.
Yeah, I mean, even when you get, you know, we were both guitar players growing up, and even when you get a new guitar, I think it feels like, to me, what we've talked about, it feels like there's new songs in a new guitar. Like just when you know, you're just like, oh, this sounds different. Different things come out, and then when you get, you know, when you're bringing in a whole new sonic landscape with a banjo or mandolin, and just, you know, the way that it's tuned and the way it sounds and the way it feels, just leads to, you know, whole new worlds, I think, of songwriting. Mm-hmm. So it was like a whole springboard for us as an early, you know, musical entity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so the band, when it was a duo, before you got it into the other acoustic instruments, it was like two acoustic guitars, or it was electric guitar and acoustic guitar, or
it's like electric and acoustic guitar, and sometimes two acoustic guitars.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I never did full Garfunkel, just standing there.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. What did he do with his hands? He just stood there.
Class.
Was there, yeah,
Class behind his back.
there's snapping going on or something. But I want to talk a little bit about being a guitar player and transitioning into banjo, because that's a common thing. And how did you both kind of approach it? You know, how did you see the tuning? Because you're playing in standard tuning, correct? You're playing in open G tuning.
Yeah. Yes, correct.
Okay. Yeah. So how can you remember back there? How'd you approach it, and kind of walk us through that? Was there anything that you took from guitar right into banjo? You're playing with a flat pick, you know, right now, so using a lot of guitar technique on the right hand, but on the walk us through I
feel like the pick thing kind of made more sense to project. We used to play a lot of unplugged shows too, and it was like it just kind of projected nicely. You could get significantly louder than you could with your fingers. But I definitely also always liked playing finger style guitar, and so it made sense when I played it to kind of finger pick it, or you know, kind of slam it. But I never really understood the like claw hammer thing when I did it. And the first song I think that we used banjo on, at least live, was our song "Meet Me by the Smokestack," which was originally an electric guitar and an acoustic guitar that were played together. So it was picked, and so when he switched to banjo, it made sense to play it on a pick. So it was like versus, you know, yeah, you could do it. It just didn't have the like the energy or something, and so that's sort of how I think started that way.
Yeah, and I've done some, you know, 3-finger with finger picks stuff on our recordings, but I've just for playing live, like just for ease of transition, like the thing that we do on stage is we're switching instruments back and forth a lot, which I always joke is so you can't tell that we're not that good at any one thing, but like I might play 2 or 3 songs on the banjo and then trade with him, or like, you know, the mandolin, or we have a baritone guitar or whatever. So there's always things. So like, it's always just easier to just keep my pick in my hand. And a lot of the lines that I play I think are straight lifted from just like guitar technique, and especially, I mean, there's specific examples on the recordings I can think of, like on our new record, there's a song "Runaways" that has a guitar lead, it has a banjo lead line that like is through an amp that, like, you know, if you're not listening super close, you might not even be able to tell it's a banjo, but it's interesting to me because it's just sonically different enough to be kind of cool. It's like, what is that? What is that thing? Or like we did a cover of a Metallica song of Wolf and Man, and the lead on that is like a screaming banjo lead, like a, you know, very distorted banjo lead. I think a lot of our, you know, banjo thinking and tone has come through the lens of being, you know, longtime guitar players. But I also recently, you know, I've tried over the years to do clawhammer, and just since we've been speaking with you guys, I've been trying it again, and like I've been doing a little better this time.
Since about 12:30 today.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So what kind
a
of
little bit inverted of like when you Travis pick or whatever, you know, you do
Right.
on a guitar, like you're you know, playing the bass with this, but then to do clawhammer is like the upstroke.
It is,
it's
yeah.
like, so
Right.
It's a
it
different
doesn't come
mindset.
naturally to someone who's played guitar.
Then I was doing it I was playing clawhammer for a while a couple weeks ago, and then I went back to play the guitar, and I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to hit the
Yeah, totally.
So what, you know, you kind of got into it some, you know, the banjo, when you're playing it, like even when you play it through an amp and with distortion, you know, what is that? It's different. I've kind of experimented with that some. It's different. How is it different? Kind of where would you use it instead of a guitar? You know, that spot, and just kind of to kind of give others some inspiration to kind of try it out in this way.
I think there's a lot of obvious places for, you know, a really prominent guitar lead, and it's just been done so much. I think it's just, you can
Right.
almost like every time you're gonna do that, to me, I'm like, would this be cooler if it was like a banjo tone that was a little, you know, messed up or something? And I think that's not the only way we use a banjo. I like, there's a lot, you know, there's a lot of places where it's like tucked in or textural or just like kind of just keeping rhythm, but I think it's a really useful thing to have in your palette of just like,
Yeah.
where would it be a better option than just like you know, like a wailing guitar can be cool, can be great, but it's just, you know.
Sure, but it's been done a lot, you know.
Yeah.
There's such a classic texture to it. I think there's this sort of like unspoken darkness to it that I really love. With mandolin too and banjo, just that you can't, the simplicity and the you know, lack of sustain. Although these the one that we use, one of the Sierras that has the resonator in the back, so it does have some sustain to it. But like, you know, just that type of like that, just the tone of it is just, there's just something that I don't know, you can't capture it the same. It just has its own voice, and that's perfect for some of the stories we're trying to tell, I think.
Yeah, and I think I was watching actually the episode you guys did with Bella Fleck, and he was talking about he likes to tune his head down a little lower,
Right.
like so it's not so bright as like a traditional bluegrass. And I mean we don't do that per se, but like in our, you know, EQing and mixing, I think for both our our mandolin and banjo tones, we like to keep them a little darker than like a traditional bluegrass band.
Yeah,
and
I feel like sometimes in soundcheck we specify that we're
yeah.
we're not like a bluegrass band, like, so it isn't like, you know, I'm not chucking on the mandolin, you know, doing stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
like, it shouldn't be super high. It should be kind of dark and like almost like a old tenor guitar that is capable really high or something.
Right.
Yeah. It almost, I think the banjo does a lot of times, you know, fill more of the spot frequency-wise as like just another guitar than a twinkly banjo,
Right.
in a 5-piece bluegrass band would.
Yeah, I've always been like attracted to, like using long tones sparingly in songwriting. So like things like violin or piano or pedal steel or electric guitar, like really being intentional and sparing about them, and having the song be held together by rhythmic acoustic instruments, is just, there's something so cool about that to me. And not like, I think when we started the band, it was like, oh, you should have a fiddle in your band, and it's like, well, yeah, but like, I kind of like, rather than, long notes, I'd rather, we could strum through that, or do, use the instruments that we have here and have it be more plucked and more rhythmic and more, that sort of, that felt more authentic to me, or not authentic. I mean, obviously it felt more authentic to what I was trying to write.
Right.
Certainly, there's authenticity in anything, but yeah, like it just felt like the right move for this band to focus on these more plucked instruments and stuff. And then it's like, and then we add a pedal steel with it, and it like really has a place and can like,
glue it together.
Right. It sounds like you're really thinking about the kind of thinking well about when you're songwriting, the instrumentation, like the voice of each instrument, but where you aren't duplicating. Sometimes people can duplicate, like two guitars strumming in the same register, or even take a banjo and strum the same way, and it's essentially doing one spot. Like when you're playing the banjo, you're playing a lot of lines, and so it's taking this other spot versus the guitar. Are you thinking about it this way, kind of, when you kind of put it together?
I guess so. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are times where we have a banjo and acoustic guitar doing a similar thing, but it's not like the bedrock of what we do. And I do think we're thinking of them more as separate entities, and doing their own, having their own functions, and but not, like I was saying, not quite in the way of like a traditional bluegrass setup. Kind of more informed by our guitarness.
Yeah. And then you mentioned you play it amplified and with distortion sometimes, and some of your songs, your stage volume when you're playing live, I'm assuming can be kind of loud.
We play like a rock band live for sure.
Yeah.
Like it's
So
loud as hell. Yeah.
How are you dealing with the banjo and without feedback and getting a good tone out of it? And what's your setup there and everything? What do you plug into usually?
We use a Baggs Venue,
Okay.
our Baggs Venue pedal, which is probably the most useful, sort of quick, easy to adjust on stage pedal with a mute and tuner built in, and a boost. It's just like kind of ideal.
There's a notch filter on that too. Do you end up having to use that to dial out like a squeal or anything?
I think the notch filter is only on like the super low end for it, so I think it's kind of helpful sometimes with depending on the sound system or where we're playing, but it can be helpful to kind of crank that or cut some extra low end out.
Right.
But I mean, we also have in this specific banjo. This is like our touring, like on the ground banjo, not our like fly date banjo. But we have under the bridge on the underside of the head, we have a Pick Up the World attached pickup that's like fixed to that. That's really supernatural sounding and really awesome. But there are a lot of situations where that can't hang, so we have the banjo in it also, and there's two input jacks.
Okay.
See that? There's
They're
one
fully
of those
separate.
actually here. Here, I'll unplug our wireless cable. But yeah, this is our Pick Up the World, and then this is the banjo, I believe. And in some situations, you just like it doesn't want to behave because it's such a live instrument, and you play like really loud rock clubs sometimes, and you just got like, in order to get it to a volume where we can actually hear it on stage, it just is easier to use the banjo.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
They do sound pretty different, and I'd say the like Pick Up the World is like feels a little more like an unplugged banjo, or like a little more like natural, and this is like
it'll run away more quickly.
Yeah, and this you can totally get there, but it's just a little bit different, has a little more attack to it. But they're both great for whenever one is better than the other, we have both options built into this guy.
Yeah, I think it frequently, in the monitor especially, will ring. I've noticed that the monitor engineers, scooping like a lot of 300, 400 hertz out of it, which is just, it's not difficult, but it's just kind of the nature of the beast. But
Right.
And it's often a challenge to get it hot enough that I can hear it well,
Mm-hmm.
and around all these guys in my monitor.
Right.
But one day we'll be big enough that we have our own front of house guy that we can take on the road, who can dial us right in.
Right.
Everybody everywhere does a great job, but it's just.
I feel like and it hasn't. I mean, compared to some other banjos that I've played and seen, I feel like this one behaves better than our specifically our two Sierra, our Fly Sierra that lives in New Jersey, and he flies and checks that, and then this Sierra have always behaved better than some of the other banjos that we've used and played. And I think either of these pickups can totally be made to work like in pretty much any situation anywhere. And I don't think we've had a show be like fuck, the thing is just like feeding back the whole time.
Right.
It's never been that way. It's like sound check, you get it dialed, and
Yeah.
if it needs a little dialing, but it's always been solid.
Yeah.
And
But we are. Sorry.
Okay.
are you? And then you're going straight from the bags DI straight into the board, or are you going through an amp?
We're going straight into the board. Well, we're going through a pedal. We have a Keeley, like delay, reverb, and overdrive dual pedal that we use sometimes to just but we DI directly to the board, and we do play. We play it through an amp on like the Metallica cover, or in a couple spots where we'll play it through the guitar amp, but
Generally
much
not.
more seldom. It's
Yeah.
easier to just keep going through the PA and use the pedal for like an
Right.
overdrive kind of thing.
Yeah, and we do. We do those overdrive tones on the recording. It's much easier to do it in a controlled
Yeah.
studio setting, and then sometimes some of the lines that we do on the recording will get traded around to different instruments, and sometimes we have our fifth member Adam Nash doing pedal steel and guitar, and he can do if there's a particular line that's just like is not going to work through the banjo, through an amp in this song or in this setting, like he can do that. So like we have
Right.
flexibility of arrangement in that way.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, do y'all want to play another tune?
Sure.
Sure. Yeah, you want to do Homesick?
Yeah.
I have to tune this just for a second. Oh, also, we use the this like capo on here because we never had the. I think we had this as in an emergency. We didn't have the like little
railroad spikes.
railroad spikes.
Spikes.
So the spikes. Yeah. So we put this thing in, and it's been great, but it sometimes it falls off because it's extremely old and we've used it to death. But
I mean, we're pretty loyal Deering customers here.
completely.
Soup to nuts. I mean, Bela Flex got pre-war banjos or whatever, but where's the brand loyalty?
Come on. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna take this out. The highway signs, the yellow lines, rolling out and under by the thousands. The desert nights, the city lights, I left to be a rambling cowboy. Saying so long with one last song is the best way to keep from marrying on. But staying strong when it all goes wrong is a weight I'm pretty used to carrying. I think of you at night when the world is absent light, when everything's so quiet and so lonesome. You're the cigarette that I just can't kick.
alluring. But I felt that yawn, they calling me on to somewhere strange and alluring. And every mile is so worthwhile when there's someone out there who will meet you. And I pretend that my heart did mend, but sometimes the road can defeat you. I think of you at dawn, when the sun is barely on, when even birds of morning have a sturdy grasp upon a branch, a home, a silent little song. When everything's so quiet and so lonesome, you're the cigarette that I just can't kick. Ooh, I'm homesick. These phantom pains running in my veins are proof that my skin is not as thick. You're the last silhouette before the sun does set. Ooh, I'm homesick.
Yeah, really good. Avi, your style's kind of like is kind of looking at your style. It's kind of more like the Pete Seeger style a little bit. Not exactly. Are you familiar with that?
I think yes. I think you're right about that. Yeah. It's definitely like like it's still kind of like basic track, sort of more like that type of thing, but like including this as where it would be a bass note on a guitar, just including it anyway.
Can you slow that down and just on your right hand and just kind of like so we can kind of pick up that pattern that you're doing? That's like, and you're getting those single notes when you do that line with the thumb or the index finger.
I guess it would be the equivalent. The individual notes are coming from my thumb.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely guitar based. It's not like typical claw hammer, but it's
in that world.
My own kind of like version of it, I guess, or something.
It's good. It's because it breaks out from the typical. There's the claw hammer rhythm is bump diddy,
It's
dun dun
very
dun
specific.
dun
It's
dun.
very specific. Yeah.
And it's nice to have a different one like that.
Yeah, I think the Pete Seeger thing is actually pretty right on, because that is like, thinking about that. I guess he did sort of. I listened to his stuff as a kid a lot and when I was younger, and he did sort of like it was sort of like in some ways it's almost like a yesterday kind of like Paul McCartney kind of thing, but then the like plucking with your fingernail down on stuff. Like that element of the claw hammer thing, and I think Pete played it that way too, or something. But yeah, that's I've never thought of it that way, but that's.
But you never studied the Pete Seeger book or something like that.
No, I never did. No, but I think that makes sense, because that is sort of what I picture sometimes for when I'm doing a strummed banjo song. Like in my head, I'm picturing myself as Pete Seeger.
As Pete Seeger.
I'm picturing a tall, lanky guy. That's great. I love Pete Seeger. I think he was incredible. And it's so important to American music.
Yeah. Well, we have a couple questions from Mad Roji that we'd like to get to.
Cool.
First one says, it came earlier, so it says, that's a great point about dark and moody songs. I think when people think of banjo, they think it's bright. How does your style differ from Mumford & Son?
I mean, he really goes for it. I don't think we don't have as many notes as he does. I think.
Yeah. Just as many notes as we require.
I think we think a little bit more melodically. I mean, if it's not a strum song, but still, I think we think a little more melodically about the banjo parts than.
I think we're both like Beatles heads, so
Yeah.
like it's always about like melody to us, and
As opposed to just how blazing can you be on the. I'm sure that's not all
or
he does,
it's
but-
like using it rhythmically where applicable, but I see the merit of I see the importance of that as an element to a song, and I think we've used we haven't really used it in that way ever in our music, and I think that's like it's like a different texture that we just haven't haven't used, but I think it's cool.
Honestly, I wish I could do that a little better, but I can't. So this is what we do.
Yeah. The quick picking on kind of stuff that he's doing with his finger picks on or whatever. But yeah.
There are a lot of there are certain there's certain melodic lines on the banjo that have made it into our recordings that I feel proud of. Like that, I mean, there was a song in the last record called "To Where You're Going" that I really, and it's not anything so technically difficult, but it's just I was able to unlock the finger, and I did use the three finger picks on that one. It was really satisfying for me. I don't know for anybody else.
That's the one I was trying to think of that does that.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
okay.
they kind of like drone.
Yeah. On the chorus, it just it's a 16th note rhythm, but it kind of alternates between a roll and a melodic line. And for somebody who's not like a very technical banjo player, it was very satisfying for me to like unlock what I was hearing in my head and get it onto the record. But it's not anything in the neighborhood of a Mumford and Sons style, I would say, if we're still talking about that.
Yeah, I think I always feel like we tend to be I think we think of our music a little bit as like kind of more understated and a little more. I mean, like there's some stuff on our new record that definitely is like meant to be rocked out, but like a little more like less epic and more like introspective or more just indecisive sounding.
That's our genre. Indecisive.
Yeah, we don't really have like power anthems particularly.
Sure,
I don't know.
sure.
Maybe we should read some of those.
I think
maybe that's our problem.
Yeah, that's our problem. I think sometimes folks have a hard time categorizing our music because it is a little bit like somewhere in the middle of. Don't they say ketchup is the flavor right between the five, salty, sweet, or whatever? Maybe that's what we're going for.
They do. Ketchup is the flavor between salty and sweet.
Yeah, there's right between umami, salty, sweet, spicy. I think it's like right in the middle of the pentagram.
All right.
Wow,
I didn't know that.
I mean, I don't know. Look it up.
I think that's the key part of what we're all going to take away.
Ketchup.
Yeah, ketchup. Just remember ketchup.
Yeah.
We have another question from that same viewer. Would you say your finger strum sound changes per song? So I think that's for Avi. When we were talking about your pattern, your finger pattern, this question came up. Do you change your patterns, I guess, or do you kind of have one?
Yeah, that's
basic
that
pattern
pattern that's the pattern for that song. That's the but I mean, yeah, there's definitely different ones. There's ones where I like kind of doing more like riffy things, but I would say that pattern appears. Let's see. Wait, I'm trying to think of another one.
Your horse
Banjo on it.
accent.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. I guess it's related. It kind of depends on the song, but yeah, I would say like in for the songs where I am picking and trying to get that, it's sort of related on at least those two songs of ours. But yeah, other we have songs with various submarines is one of our songs, and that's more like this kind of thing. Kind of things.
Which is pretty guitar.
Yeah,
related.
more like on the guitar end of things. Yeah, I don't really. It's like I kind of don't really know exactly what I'm not doing anything intentionally. I'm just kind of trying to make it sound what feels right in my head, depending on the song. But the finger style for Homesick definitely comes naturally for what I wanted for that song, and I think for the horse accident one, which was the one where I capoed up, is in the ballpark with that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not done intentionally. I'm trying to think of other examples where maybe
Yeah, it definitely does vary though. To answer the question.
Yeah, it definitely does vary depending on what the song calls for.
And y'all change instruments a fair amount. Does it throw you at all to change, go from guitar to 5-string banjo to mandolin? Does it take you a second to sometimes reset inside your head?
Mandolin for sure. It does a little bit, but it's I'm kind of used to it at this point, at least in our set. Where I think more so going to the back to the guitar, just kind of like forgetting where I'm, just for a split second, like needing a minute to just be like, wait, where am I? Because it's basically upside down.
Yeah, fourths to fifths. I think the thing that throws me personally is if we sometimes we'll do different instruments on a song than we normally do, just based on set convenience or just the circumstance.
Yeah.
And that totally throws me. I'm doing the most basic job I can do because I'm just like, I don't know where I am.
I sort of
right
love
now.
the challenge of doing that. I love like on submarines, like I play mandolin on that a lot now, and instead of banjo, just because it makes sense in where it is in the set, and I think it's
And we also have a baritone guitar which we tuned down a half step lower than is normal to B flat.
Mm-hmm.
B flat is the low string. So that's a tritone off from a guitar. So that's
it's like
that's in some other
like
universe.
doing all kinds of different just seeing where this kind of can relate to a banjo too is like like kind of trying to get it to feel like like getting this to feel sort of like in the world with that rhythmically, and I think that comes from wanting to have that kind of beat in there. But
I think you're in addition to the sort of darker tone that we were talking about earlier for both of our banjo and mandolin, I think that you have sort of a distinctive style of like a lot of open string.
I do a lot of
playing.
open string playing, and I capo on here, which seems silly, but it's just like to get and keep the open string thing going in different keys. But I can pretty much play anything between the first and second fret capo, in whatever key or whatever shape makes the most sense. Just depending on what the song is.
And you don't get hung up a lot with like all the cables of all the different instruments. And
So
are you
you're
going wireless?
Our banjo is wireless. That's our banjo and our acoustic were both wireless for a long time.
Right.
But we've since plugged in the acoustic because it's so like I feel like the interruptions in the signal on acoustic are much more noticeable than they are on the banjo. It's just because it's holding down low end and different things in different places. So we ended up plugging that back in. So our banjos are one wireless instrument at this point. So we have 3 cables on stage and they're color coded. So like electric guitar is yellow, mandolin's red, acoustic guitar is blue.
Smart.
Yeah, it's although with some lighting in some clubs, it's like I can't tell.
It doesn't. Yeah, everything
yellow.
turns red or
But,
something. Yeah.
but yeah, like having the banjo be wireless. That's why the cable is like permanently attached to into the input jack on this, because it's
Gotcha.
we just hook it onto the strap. But that really like freed up a lot. I wish we shredded more, because we could like really step out in the crowd and like
I was gonna
shred a
say,
banjo,
yeah,
but
with
we were both like
I'm free on the banjo, so I'm able to walk the catwalk.
I know. It's like I'd like to like be able to. It would be kind of sick to have this or that, like any of the electric be wireless.
Yeah.
I thought about bringing it for this tour to have the electric be wireless, but yeah, it's like so be it. At some point, we'll maybe screw with that more, because yeah, it can be an inconvenience and kind of a rat's nest on stage if you're not careful. But eliminating the fourth cable by making the banjo wireless really improved it tenfold.
I like to think of it as a friendship bracelet that we're weaving in the course of the show. At the end, a beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about your new album and this tour that you're starting.
Yeah.
So tell us about the new album, and also tell us about your relationship with Metallica, because you have Kirk Hammett on this new album, and I know you've worked together. Avi, you've sang with them some. So
Yeah.
kind of walk us into that. I guess your relationship with Metallica, and then let's get into the new album.
Yeah, I mean, when we were starting to record this album, we were kind of writing some more rockish songs anyway. So it was like we had this one that Pat had written, and it was like, man, it'd be cool if Kirk was on that. And so I messaged him and was just like, hey, because he had.
Well,
told
let me
me
stop you
before,
there.
we should do a thing. Let's do a thing.
How do you know him? Because I messaged him. So how'd you
Yeah, okay. Yes, I guess I should elaborate on that first. I have worked for Metallica, for the band, for many years.
Okay.
And yeah, so I started out just working at their studio and doing whatever, and then kind of started doing some tech stuff with them. I went on the road a little bit with them, handling like dealing with the equipment, and doing some sort of like monitor related things on one tour in Mexico and Canada, and then decided that I wanted to and around 2012, when we were really starting to ramp this band up, I was like, I kind of don't want to be a road guy. I'd like to do my own band. And they were super cool about that. We're like, yeah, you should do it. And they've always known I've had bands and played in bands. And then at some point, they knew I played mandolin. And James was doing a solo show and asked me to play mandolin with him at this like solo show, like a benefit show with Sammy Hagar and some other people. And so I went to that, and in doing that show, then I was like, yeah, I can do backing vocals, and I started singing some parts, and he was like, this is great. And we really it was very easy to lock together, the two of us. I don't know how. Just was extreme luck, but we really locked in. And so when they were doing this acoustic benefit show, like the first big benefit show for their charity, All Within My Hands, they asked me to come, play along on the set. And then they were like, hey, do you want to, play guitar too on some of this? So I played a little guitar and mandolin and just kind of multi-instrument. And so I've just worked for them for a really long time and known them for so many years, and then started playing with them because it was convenient, but also it kind of felt natural, and I think we really kind of locked in and sounded pretty good together, and it's been fun. And I know that we all feel comfortable around each other. It's not like bringing in someone from outside the camp. I know how they work, how they're how they don't feel like they wouldn't feel uncomfortable rehearsing around me, or figuring parts out around me, because it's they we're all I know the whole vibe at the studio, and they wouldn't it wouldn't make it any more awkward to have me around in a rehearsal or whatever. So just kind of evolved out of just having that job working for them. And I still on their last record, I'll be at the studio assisting their producer and engineer, doing stuff that I still work at the studio sometimes, doing odd jobs and different things. Just after all, I've been working for them for I guess over 16 years, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. It was right out of college. I was still in college when I started working for them, actually. And I was like, I'm just gonna drop out. This is a great job. I want to. And the equipment manager and one of the band guys was like, no, finish your college. You can go upstairs, like take a break and go upstairs and do your homework, whatever you got to do up there, like. And they just like let me do that for like the first, I guess it was one last semester that I had. And they've always just been super encouraging. So then when I messaged Kirk and was like, because he had told me after one of the shows, like, we should fucking do something, bro. Like, and and so I was like, yeah. And I texted him a link to the song and was like, hey, like, we got this song, like it would like be perfect with one of your solos on it. And I sent it to him. He wrote back and was like, hell yeah, this is great, yeah. And so we found a time to do it, and got his stuff set up upstairs in a room at their headquarters, and he just came up and tracked it. But yeah, so we're super stoked to have him on the record. I think that helped get the word out that we had a new record coming, because that song leaked before it actually dropped as a single, which was because I don't know. I guess what do you expect with Kirk Hammett song? So that was kind of like an exciting news moment. But yeah, so then we dropped some singles over time, and now the record's out. It's called Signals, and we're currently touring it. The tour starts tonight in Seattle. That's why we're here in Seattle at our friend Jenna's house, who actually works for Metallica also, and she's incredible at everything pertaining to the behind the scenes stuff with them.
Yeah, great artist too.
Also there's paintings up on the wall that she no doubt did.
Yeah.
And what's the instrumentation of the full band that's on tour?
Rotating carousel for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So banjo, mandolin, acoustic guitar, and electric guitar.
Baritone.
Baritone, like baritone electric, and then other guy Adam is on pedal steel and electric guitar, and sometimes fiddle. He plays fiddle too. I don't know where he picked that up.
And then on a song or two, he'll do like acoustic guitar and baritone guitar too. So
we'll
he's kind of
hand
part
this
of
stuff to him too.
Yeah. But he's bass line. He's pedal steel and electric guitar.
Yeah. And backing vocals. Right. He's got a killer voice.
Yeah. And then bass line on the bass.
Yeah. And bass and drums.
We have Chris, Segura, and then Alex on drums. Yeah,
5-piece. It's great. I mean, we really like to play like a rock band, so having a full drum kit and hits. I mean, drummers we play with like hit the shit out of it, and
those guys are all incredible musicians, and it's like
they lift us up.
They do. I mean, it's like a great feeling, because the pressure in many ways is not on us to carry the song. Like, I feel very, supported playing with those guys.
And so y'all be doing full West Coast. So how many dates do you have?
Yeah, I guess we're doing like
about
13, 14 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
At least.
It's over the next like 3 weeks.
Nice.
We're going like Southern California, Seattle, Portland area. Doing a little private thing there. And then like Coos Bay, we're going over to Boise. And then a lot of stuff in California and Lake Tahoe and
Sacramento.
Yep.
Venice, San Diego.
You'll be in San Diego. I think you
San
said
Diego
on
will
the
be near
2nd.
We'll be near Deering on October 2nd. Yeah.
Yeah. If you have any time, I'm not out there, but talk with Jamie. Maybe you can.
I think Jamie
come
said
by
she's
the factory.
by, and she's been so helpful to us. We flew out to San Diego to play a show. We were going to open for the Dead South out there, and they unfortunately had to cancel the show because their singer's wife went into labor like that morning, and he had to fly back to Canada. So
we landed to the text.
We landed in San Diego and to a text saying show's canceled. But so we got there and we got the banjo, and the case was just like totally like fucked up. Can I curse on here? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
You'll be hearing from the FCC.
And Jamie brought us a new case just came to the hotel and dropped off a new case to us, which was priceless. So.
And there's not a scratch on it from the next 2 flights it's been on. And now all I have to do is I have to restart my sticker collection because it's nude.
Yeah.
Well, I want to bring Jamie back into the show here, and
Yeah.
kind of at the top of the hour. I'm sure he has a few questions
Yeah.
himself.
Not to be confused with the Jamie that bought you the case. That was not me.
That's right.
Or the Jamie that sits at reception. Anyone who's called into Deering asking for Jamie in the last few weeks. It's confusing, but it's all good. Let me bring my volume down a little bit. So, so there's one question from a regular viewer, Joseph, who comes on quite a lot, and he was asking about string gauges. Do you use the Deering light gauge strings on your banjo, or have you found strings that suit you better?
Great question.
What are you using? Let's do a little gear rundown, like little
real
specky,
rundown.
geeky stuff.
We kind of have a custom set that I are through. Fortunately, through working with Metallica, I've met the folks at Ernie Ball, and so he sent me some like loop end strings, and we kind of liked them heavier, but like sort of all of them heavier a little bit. So what is it? It's 26.
Oof.
It's a lot heavier.
A lot heavier. Yeah.
Wow.
But we fucking dig into it. And they stay in tune like you wouldn't believe. It's amazing. And it does add a little more pressure down here, but we've got it. But it does add a little more pressure down here. But it seems to, once you get it set, it seems to be like, pretty solid and not like it doesn't deflate on you. But what is it? 26. I want to. I should look. I should look at what I have. I want to say it's like 26, 18, 14, 11.
Okay.
So 11's on the.
And I think this actually might be a 10.
Oh.
Down
Yeah,
here.
that's pretty
So
solid.
different sizes. Actually, I think on here right now they're both 11s, but we've experimented with that a little bit. But yeah, having a 26 has been like, so I don't know, it just feels great.
Is the tension's got to be a little bit different to because I think I was at 21s on the light gauge. Yeah.
21.
So 10.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Maybe it's because it's more
Experiment
guitar-like. Is that why you like it?
Maybe
Switching
so.
from
Maybe.
acoustic guitar.
I feel like we can really dig into it, and
Uh-huh.
and it doesn't sort of like boing out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially playing it with a guitar pick or just to keep up with the band. It's like
Yeah.
For sure. You said Ernie Ball? Yeah, again, this for you?
Yeah, Ernie.
Wow.
But they just had some like loop end strings. They don't make a
Not-
custom string set in that size. He just sent me some loop ends.
Yeah.
that
Well, they're
size,
not
but
like
that's-
kind of the upper echelon of
No,
notoriety
they're
for
not.
banjo
They're
strings by any means.
They
but
don't. They had some loop ends. Because really we were literally taking electric strings and poking out the ball end on it to have a 26 and using So there was I think a GHS set that had 26 there. But
yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
And then but then like it was. I want to say it was like up to 9 or something. Like it went thinner on these, so it was like I kind of wanted the like hybrid. But yeah, I don't know. If you ever make a heavy gauge situation, we'll definitely use it. But
Goodnight, Texas
Could be
custom
interesting.
set.
custom banjo
Yeah.
strings.
I like it.
Yeah.
Any other kind of geekery that we should get into? You're not really using finger picks as much, are you?
Yeah, not really. These little capos have changed
Oh, yeah.
everything for being in tune with capoing. So
Yeah.
you can go delicately. That's that changed the game. This is actually like really good. Like the railroad spikes, sometimes you got to retune that low string
Yeah.
with the tension. This thing is really pretty good with. I forget who makes this. I'm forgetting. who
Good
makes it.
Dyer or something.
Might be, yeah. Not to plug other companies over here, but
Well, we don't
Yeah.
make strings and we don't make capos, so we're really good.
yeah, who makes y'all's strings?
GHS.
Proprietary. Oh,
Is it GHS?
It's on the pack. I think it says made by GHS on the back.
no. GHS. Yeah, and we work with
No, it's, I mean, God,
the other
making
guys
a,
too. But
making a string, it's like, I mean, I think a lot of, having an operation that can also make strings from scratch would be.
I mean, you'd have
a
to
tall order.
you'd have to add a wing to your
It's
factory.
like sure,
Yeah.
stick to making like
Do
the
one
most,
thing,
the
do
most
it well.
stunning, incredible
Yeah.
banjos, and it's good enough.
Yeah,
for
keep
us.
doing that.
There's things that we acknowledge that there's just people in the world that make them better than us. Frets are one, tuners are another, strings are definitely another, right? So there's just, rather than try and reinvent the wheel, these guys are experts in their field. And I think we've worked with GHS for the last 4 or 5 years and had a really good relationship with them. So we use them for, our production strings, but also the sets that we have as well, the Deering sets. And so they're just custom gauges that we use. We work with them pretty closely to develop those. So yeah, that's awesome. So if you ever need any, let us know. But if you've still got your,
that's
your
good to know. Yeah, because I think GHS was the one that made the bigger set of strings.
I'll ask him now. Talk to him next. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Ernie Ball's been great to us too. So love to them. But also,
Sure. Yeah.
GHS, down for whatever's easiest for everybody. Because I don't think it's not like a loop end string. It's just like an everyday item at Ernie Ball
No.
sales department.
No.
So I don't know how hard it was for him to gather up this pack of things for me. But
I've used their bass strings for years and years and years. The Slinkies
yeah.
and stuff like that. They're just
Slinkies are
phenomenal.
Electric
They're
uses
just
them all.
that's what they're known for. But it's
Yeah,
they're great.
That's why I was like, you don't happen to have your electric strings without the ball in it, do you? Because that's pretty much what we're using on banjo.
I just like the idea of you poking the ball end out. That's just like before a show, frantically trying to restring.
It took a while. You had to like spin it just enough, and then you're like, is it spinning or is the string spinning? And then you tweezer it and like clip it and then pull it out, and eventually you can get it out the middle. It took a while. It was super annoying, and they'd break sometimes because you're screwing with the.
You're forcing them out. You're putting tension on it. Yeah, it's.
I used to just
reliable.
put the string through the ball, not take the ball out, but you just make a loop by putting the string through the hole.
Make a loop. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Do you
that always worked.
Cases,
It's kind of sloppy, but it worked.
That does work. Yeah. Deering cases are great for flying, also, and like have plenty of room for that. So I feel like ours might have some of the strings in there. But
Are you checking it in when you fly?
we do check it in, and it's
you?
It's total. We've lived that one that we had we used it for 8 years checked in before it finally kind of, and we had really abused it and used it for many years when Jamie replaced it.
Full disclosure to any customers watching, like we do not suggest it. So it is definitely not a flight case.
I know.
If it's worked for you, I applaud that. I think that's a great testament to the quality of cases.
Are amazing for checking banjos, and we always expect something to go awry, and it's just we have no choice but to check this thing because it's the only way to get our equipment to a place. And they've really held up and
that's
been
great.
solid, and it's just super comfortable in there, and so I feel safe about it, and I'm a gear lunatic with safety of equipment and stuff like that,
Right.
and so
and in turn, I've heard a couple of artists who have got high-end Carlton cases and they've been destroyed by airlines.
it can happen, and those
it does definitely happens. Yeah. So it's a risky business traveling by air, but you see how my customer service spidey senses started tingling when you said that? I was like, oh,
yes,
don't say that publicly.
For sure. Yeah. It's I would not recommend it if you can totally carry them on an airplane. If Pat wasn't
100%.
carrying on a backpack with an acoustic and with our acoustic and electric guitar and his own underseat thing as his two items on the plane, because he's bringing the banjo and the acoustic and the electric, and
So like something's got
and merch. Those are his and a backpack, and those are like his 4 items. And then I got our like pedal board brain and the mandolin and more merch. And it's like we've got it exactly dialed, but the only way to do it is to have to check the banjo.
Like somebody should do a slow motion video of us walking with all our stuff. It's like
I'm just trying to imagine it.
squad.
I didn't hear either of you mention I bring a spare set of clothes or anything of that nature. Like, it's just the stuff that you need.
I think I got a pair of underwear in here. I think.
Yeah, that's part of the sound in this thing too. It's
Just man. Well, gentlemen, it's been a real pleasure. Let's talk real quick. I know you've got a couple of things here. So tour dates. Let's pull this up right now. This is your amazing website URL.
Oh, it looks so funny that way.
Read it out loud
absolutely.
for us.
We were gonna do highwearegoodnighttexas.com, but we just thought it'd be more polite if it was highwearegoodnighttexas. How are you.com? So that's the website that we went with.
How could you
and then
possibly
slash
forget
tour.
that?
Yeah, I'm surprised that URL was free.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
we should have beaten to the punch. It could have been worth millions by now.
Right.
yeah.
But the main one is this one, right? So this is the link
That-
tree.
Yeah.
Anything of
Good
ours
message.
you can find through that. Yeah, including tour dates and all
Perfect.
things. And then we're on the Instagram and
I was going to say, I assume that link tree is embedded in your Instagram bio, where they can
it
go
is
here
correct.
and
Yes,
find
follow us
that.
on Instagram. We're really bad at it, in that we make a lot of videos and they're all so boring. There's
Isn't it-
really pathetic attempts to be funny.
Isn't it weird though, like how in modern music, like a metric of a band's kind of, I guess, success or authenticity is like how many followers do you have?
Yeah.
And it's
is, like,
kind of
how-
garbage, right? It doesn't mean
Yeah.
a damn
I
thing.
was just thinking. I mean, I wish they would. The thing I really liked about Bandcamp when it came out was like, there's no numbers. It's just
Right.
you can play the song. Like,
Right.
if Instagram and all these things could just be like, here's the band.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, remove the number of followers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Video
important.
editor is not what I hoped to be doing, but here we are.
Yeah, it takes the edge off like what it's all about, really, because you got companies, it's something that I check when new artists approach us as well. It's not the be all and end all, but the reality is like, okay, if you've got like 200 followers, kind of what are we doing? I still work with them and still
Yeah.
kind of build them up, but it's just like it's sad that that's the thing, the gauge. So
And I enjoy, to an extent, I enjoy making videos and whatever, but it's just the relentless appetite of the beast for the. It's like you just
Right.
gotta keep.
yeah,
Yeah,
doesn't
having to-
stop.
it's
Yeah,
the
no
first
choice
thing a
but to
manager
do
will
it.
pitch, right? It's like, oh, they've got 250,000 followers. They must be incredible. It's like,
Right.
okay,
Well,
are they good?
It's like, man,
But do they make
they're
good?
definitely hot. I'll tell you that.
And that, my friends, before we peer down this path, anything else you wanted to promote,
That's
talk
great.
about, give thanks to, anything of that nature before we wrap this thing up?
thanks to you guys for having us and for
Yeah.
making great banjos, and to Jamie for being a great friend and supporter of us for over 9 years now.
She's a huge fan of yours.
That's very sweet. She came and saw us at Lestat's in San Diego back the first few shows through.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
She found our video on YouTube, I think, or something, and came and was there. And she's like, "I'm Jamie Deering."
We were
And I was
like, "Oh, wow."
we're like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
cool!"
No, she's out in Kansas right now. I'm gonna, when this is done, I'll send her the
Yes,
YouTube
yes.
link and she
Send-
can watch it.
Send her regards. Send her
Absolutely,
Great.
absolutely. So, how do you feel about playing us out with one more song?
Sure,
Let's do it.
Let's do it. You wanna
That'd be
first?
great. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure, and everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. Really, really fun episode, and great to meet you two in person. Stay in touch, and do please hit us up when you come through San Diego, and at the very least,
Will
love to
do.
come down and have a drink and say hi.
We'll put you guys on the list. At
Yeah.
the Casbah.
Well, thank you very. Oh, the
October
Casbah,
2nd.
love that place.
Yep,
It's awesome.
October 2.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, we look forward to it. Take it away. Have a wonderful evening, everyone at home. Thanks, Dave.
Sounds good. Bye, y'all.
All right. It's called Mona, Take Me Home.
She said you'd be good to me, and I'm the only one you got. I'm the only one you got. Were we meant to be? Thanks for giving me a shot. Don't forget me when I'm shot and cold. I'd never let her down. Just as far as I can tell, just as far as she is carrying my heart around. And I told her I'd be good to the things between the hood and the road. If ever I get lost, Mona, won't you take me home? Sleep, my love, you're safe beside me now. We're together anyhow. Through the night we ride on the fumes of gasoline, and the soul of a machine we go. Mona, won't you take me home? Mona, won't you take